Rushing into the Time Photo studio, Ling Chao announced they had a new client. Cheng Xiaoxi, who was playing games on the couch, told her to leave the photo on the counter. She'd snatch his game away, reminding him that she was the one helping him out here, so he could pay her back. If not, he'd be out of business. Xiaoxi grew up in the studio with his parents, so he was stuck here until they came back. He'd rather let him rot here than be driven away, and that meant Chao's dad wouldn't get a new tenant. Lu Guang then asked to see the picture. Chao happily obliged, calling him a good boy, or Guang Guang, I think, like a dog. Xiaoxi would make fun of her by basically calling her a little puppy. But honestly, if it weren't for Guang, she wouldn't look at Xiaoxi. The client for this mission wanted them to obtain Quaid Games financial data before their third quarterly report, 2 days from now. But the only person who handled it was the CFO. To avoid hacking risks, he never left the report on his computer and carried it with him at all times. The one most likely to see it was his assistant, Emma. Guang asked for the last photo Emma had taken, and Chao handed it to him. Suddenly, his eyes began glowing as he stared into the picture. Memories of all that happened within that moment played through his mind. From what he saw, there was only one chance for them to get the data. Afterwards, he laid out instructions to Xiaoxi. First, they only had 12 hours to get this done. Second, Xiaoxi was to follow his lead and change nothing. Lastly, the past and future were to remain unchanged. Xiaoxi would jump into the photo, and Guang would guide him. Once they were ready, they tagged each other. In that instance, Xiaoxi awoke in Emma's body the moment she took a photo of her food. He already started acting weird, but Guang called him to order. Xiaoxi wasn't the patient type. The CFO, Zhu, then called Emma to his office. Xiaoxi's rude response would cause Guang to reprimand him, and his following actions made Zhu wonder if something was wrong. Xiaoxi lied about a jerk that had made him lovesick, and Guang warned that lies like that would only make things worse. In the CFO's office, he invited Emma out to grab a late-night snack. Seeing how she struggled, he offered to do anything for her. And as he made a move on her, Xiaoxi struggled to respond properly. Oh no, he's trying to be the CEO to this your name. Guang told him to calm down and remind Zhu that they were still at the office. Not like that changed anything. After all, Zhu's office was the most private place in the building, so he assured her there was nothing to worry about. Xiaoxi, on the other hand, was not prepared for this. For the sake of the mission, Guang told him to face the man head on. Any alterations would disrupt the timeline, making things worse. Just as Xiaoxi puckered up for the kiss, he was saved by a phone call. He pushed the man away and answered the call from Emma's mother. Emma's mother was really worried about her after seeing the photo of what she was having for dinner. She didn't want her daughter eating takeout and working overtime. Xiaoxi claimed the food was good, but the bug that appeared on it would prove him otherwise. Emma's dad suddenly came on call, telling his wife to stop nagging and let their daughter work. Taking the phone, he told his daughter not to worry so much about it. After all, she had a fussy mom. In the middle of the call, Zhu came by, demanding that Emma finish the materials for tomorrow's meeting and tidy up the meeting room before the conference. Also, he asked her to take out the trash. Guang would remain with Xiaoxi so he could finish the work. If the work wasn't completed in time, the timeline would change. Xiaoxi asked him if this was the only thing Emma did day after day. Guang reminded them that they were not meant to dwell on the past. Their only focus was the mission. After work, Xiaoxi got back home and flopped on the bed. A notification popped up on Emma's phone. However, Guang told him to ignore it. Drifting into sleep, Xiaoxi began dreaming of Emma's past. Her mom would serve food on the table. Emma tried to take a bite, but it was too hot. So, her dad would blow on it for her. To keep his little girl safe, he'd move heaven and earth to protect her. Although his finger was a little burned, he didn't want his wife blowing on it because it'd be embarrassing. As they left to attend to different things, Emma was no longer the one sitting there, but instead, a young Xiaoxi. He called for his parents to come back, but no one was there. When he woke up, he told Guang about the dream. Guang explained that it was normal for him to also inherit Emma's feelings and memories. Whether Xiaoxi's parents would come back or not, Guang didn't have an answer. He could only comfort him. As they decided to go to sleep, Xiaoxi picked up the phone and read the text that came in. He would be shocked by what he saw. The text came from Emma's mother, who apologized for troubling her earlier, but she said it was a mother's nature to worry for her child. Reading that, Xiaoxi was moved. The next morning, he got to the office and printed out the documents for the conference. He was doing a good job of staying in character. Soon after, Zhu, along with some others, entered the room, and the meeting started. Before making their next move, Guang told Xiaoxi they needed to be patient. However, there was only so much patience Xiaoxi had. The moment finally came. Guang told him to knock over Zhu's glasses. Xiaoxi slapped the glass, knocking hot tea all over the CFO. As he made his move to help wipe it off, that's when Zhu's lover stormed in. In her eyes, Emma was making funny moves, trying to steal her man. Zhu claimed Emma was harassing him, causing the lady to slap her. Listening to all her berating words, Xiaoxi could barely hold his anger. Guang reminded him of the rules. So, Xiaoxi managed to calm himself to continue playing along. The second slap from Zhu's lover sent him to the ground, along with the CFO's laptop. With all the data being displayed, Guang used that chance to grab it. The next day, the news reported Quaid Games had been suspended due to fraudulent financial reports. Xiaoxi was happy to see that everything ended well. Still, he wondered if things would have really changed if he had done something. Gazing at him, Guang's eyes were full of suspicion. As Zhu's assistant, Emma's career was stained. She'd have to find a job in a different field. Getting back home, she found freshly made spring rolls on her table. It had to be from her mom. She took out her phone and going through the texts, tears filled her eyes. Xiaoxi had replied to the text Emma's mom sent that night. Emma would call her mom, crying on the phone. Her dad let her know that it was her mom who made those spring rolls and brought some clothes for her. They didn't want to bother her, but right now, Emma wanted her parents to stay. Rushing to the train, she told them not to board. On the way, she accidentally bumped into someone who overheard her conversation. So, he offered to drive her to the train station. Following that, Xiaoxi was worried about how Emma was doing. Once again, Guang told him that they were not to bother about the future. Just then, he saw the news about Emma's death. Her body had been found in a river. The next day, a new client wanted them to find a secret ingredient. The two people in the picture used to run a noodle chain together. They'd been partners for more than 10 years, but only one of them knew the secret ingredient for their most famous dish. Yu Sha never expected her partner, Lin Zhen, to leave and open up a shop of her own. Looking through the photos, Xiaoxi questioned why these ladies suddenly fell out after being so close for a long time. He wondered if the same thing could happen between him and Guang if they got into an argument. He had no idea Guang hadn't forgiven him for going behind his back the previous day. His actions led to Emma's death. Once it was time for the mission, they dived in and got to work. Xiaoxi inhabited Sha's body. At the time, she and Jen were taking pictures for the opening of their noodle shop. Making the excuse of checking the new night mode on the camera, Xiaoxi used the chance to go through the pictures there, looking for clues. With Jen hurrying him up, he wouldn't have enough time to finish the search. When they got inside, he was exhausted from all the work. Jen teased that if it were a marriage, it wouldn't be this tiring, recalling how he called this a honeymoon. She touched his hand, causing him to jolt back. She didn't think much of it. After all, she and Sha used to sleep together in their dorm room after watching horror flicks. That's when Xiaoxi recalled they were roommates back in college. As Jen left to cook some noodles, Xiaoxi would follow her. It looked like just a normal pot of stew he was watching, until Jen went to the fridge to fetch the secret ingredient. He asked what it was, but she wouldn't give a clear answer, replying as if Sha knew what it was. She was quite crafty. At that moment, a delivery man came with supplies. That was the perfect moment to find out the secret ingredient Jen had in her hands. But if the supplies weren't gotten, the timeline would change. As he went to the door, he tried to get a glimpse of what she put into the stew. When he went out, the delivery man was surprised to see the owner was a woman. He claimed it'd be better for her to find a decent guy and get married. Hearing that, Xiaoxi was pissed, so he yelled at the man before he left. Getting back inside, there was only one bowl of noodles Jen served. Seeing Sha eat her cooking was enough to make her happy. At a glance, Xiaoxi didn't see her as a bad person, but Guang let him know that people could change. After one bite, Xiaoxi was surprised at how delicious and refreshing the meal was. He thought it was too bad Guang couldn't have some. In the end, this picture had no clues to the secret ingredient. Hopping into the next scenario, Jen was being interviewed about their signature dish that became famous overnight. While the reports filmed her cooking, Xiaoxi was meant to look for clues, but it only turned out to be another failed attempt. In the next picture, they were logging their inventory into the system. Jen wrote down the list of ingredients, claiming that was all, but Xiaoxi looked at her suspiciously. The list had no ingredients that stood out. They were barely making any progress. Xiaoxi continued his search, picture after picture, even reaching the point where the ladies had grown old. He'd have to eat so many bowls of noodles looking for the ingredient. By the time Xiaoxi left the picture and Guang brought more noodles for him, he was already sick of them. Time was running out. Zhao asked Sha to be a little more patient with them, but if Jen opened a shop with their signature noodles, the chain brand she worked hard to build would be destroyed. Later, Xiaoxi noticed Guang had been staring at a particular picture, but Guang still hadn't found anything. He gave up. She told him there was still hope to encourage him. The next picture they dived into, Xiaoxi would find himself in Jen's body instead. Regardless, Guang told them nothing useful would pop up in the next 12 hours. Sha begged Jen not to go, but considering she had an automated system, a flawless cooking line, and perfect packaging, Jen didn't feel like she belonged here anymore. She loved to cook for the passion of it, Despite Sha's persuasion, she had no more joy left in her to give. For the sake of expanding their brand, they had to use a name Jen found disgusting. Due to that, it felt like the restaurant was no longer hers. Sha then asked for the recipe, claiming it belonged to both of them. She threatened to find a lawyer and sue. Of course, Jen wasn't fazed by her threats. In Zhao Shi's eyes, it seemed Sha was the real one who had changed. Jen planned to go back where it all began and start over. In the taxi, Zhao Shi searched through Jen's phone for the recipe. Sadly, he came up with nothing. There was no more time left. According to Guang, Jen spent the rest of time at home crying. Memories of Sha and Jen flashed through Zhao Shi's mind. A sweet friendship was torn over something like this. While going through some notes, he found one about a place called Xiangshuang. The driver said it was a great place with lots of trees and beautiful scenery. There was also a plant known as a fragrant flower which could be found there. Apparently, the locals dried and ground it into a powder to use as seasoning. Because it was a local ingredient, only a few people knew about it. This was the secret ingredient. Afterwards, Chao reported back to Sha. Hearing about the Xiangshuang fragrant flowers, Sha laughed, happy to have finally found the secret kept from her after all this time. Back at the studio, Zhao Shi was really missing those noodles now. Then, a picture they had missed dropped. It was a photo of Jen and Sha back in their dorm. In the picture, Zhao Shi noticed a pot of noodles. Desperate to have another taste, he tapped Guang's palm, sending himself into the photo. At that time, Sha suggested opening their own restaurant after seeing how great a cook Jen was. With Guang refusing to help him, Zhao Shi had to come up with his own reply. But when he messed up, Guang quickly stepped in to help. While Zhao Shi was about to serve the noodles, Sha brought out the local ingredients her parents had given her. All that time, she was the first to have brought out the so-called secret ingredient. It was said to awaken people's best memories. Realizing how she was so caught up in her business, Sha was moved to tears. She'd take a train back to where it all started in that little town. Arriving there, Jen happily welcomed her back. Meanwhile, Zhao Shi tried to recreate the famous noodle recipe. Just then, Chao walked in and snagged one of the bowls for herself, leaving the boys to share the last bowl. And man, does it look delicious. I'll be able to eat some if you like the video and subscribe to my channel. Because here on my Shoujo Weekly, I'm covering more Chinese donghua. That's right. The last few, I think the stories were trash, but this one people say is really good. I hope I'm not disappointed, but I know you won't be disappointed with your subscription here, because I have tons of hour-long plus videos in the shoujo genre. You'll get action, romance, and drama. So come on. Watching my videos is worth every second you spend, but if you don't, I won't have money for rent. Then I'll be homeless, T. Last September, Emma's body, which was found by the river, was presumed to be a victim of self-end. However, with new evidence, the police were considering foul play. So, women were advised to be wary of their surroundings at all times. That morning, while Chao was out for a run, a man slowly crept up on her. Just as he was about to lay his hands on her, Guang showed up, stopping him. The man introduced himself as Chen Xiao, an architect. Also, he was a new client. He would then hand him a picture of his old basketball team. Xiao was a bench warmer for his team and the school paper's photographer. The photo was taken before their last game, an unforgettable day for Xiao. Not only did they lose the game, but he also missed his first love and got into a fight with his mom. So, he wanted to tell them all the things he didn't get to say to make up for past regrets. Zhao Shi was certain this would affect the timeline, but Guang argued otherwise. Zhao Shi took his word for it, and they dove in. Taking over Xiao's body, Zhao Shi was asked to remain on the bench until a position needed to be filled. The opposing team not only made fun of them, but also of the dilapidated building. It looked as if it could collapse at any moment. Regardless, they believed the game would be a piece of cake for them, and their morale was high, with their girls cheering loudly. Zhao Shi was barely able to see anything with Xiao's glasses, but Guang told him he was allowed to lay back, since he wouldn't be playing either way. While the game went on, Zhao Shi was bored out of his mind. He'd have to be patient until after the game. Their first mission was to talk to the captain. Taking a picture, the flash of the camera got into the captain's eyes. The opposing team's captain used that chance to charge into Hong Bin's knee. Thanks to that, the timeline had been altered. However, according to Guang, the result would still remain the same. Until Hong Bin's knee was treated, Zhao Shi had to play. And if there was one thing he'd never lose to anyone, it was basketball. Xiao's teammates were shocked to see him play like this. When was he ever this good? Thanks to Zhao Shi's skills, they were bound to win this. If only. He let the game get to his head, forgetting they were supposed to lose. During the second half, Zhao Shi started slacking off, causing the opposing team to score. However, Hong Bin took his actions as part of teamwork. As Zhao Shi continued to slip up, his teammates would still find chances to score. When a timeout was called, Hongbin asked him to take a rest, while he continued to play. Seeing how the captain limped, Xiaoxi wondered if he could really play in that condition. The coach explained that Hongbin wouldn't have another chance in the future. Since the town wasn't big, the school lacked the necessary funding. Even the gymnasium was a renovated factory built by workers back in the day. When it got closed down, it didn't stop students from coming here to play basketball. With the campus about to be expanded, Hongbin wanted to keep the court. He hoped the school would allow this if they won more games and tournaments. No matter how little the chance, he was going to take it. In a tiny school like this, one can only rely on studying and having good grades. Their dream to keep playing on the court felt more like a fairy tale. Xiaoxi asked to be put back on the court. However, their so-called coach was only their chemistry teacher. He didn't really understand why kids these days loved basketball so much. To Xiaoxi, it wasn't just a game. Back when he played with Guang, he explained that passing the ball to him came along with his trust. It was great to have someone you could absolutely rely on by your side. This was how much basketball meant to him. Still, he would do his best to remember this was someone else's life he was living at the moment. During a rebound play, Hongbin's knee gave out. The pain was too much to bear. Xiaoxi asked to sub in. He promised this wouldn't be Hongbin's last game. Ignoring Guang's warning, he played his best, flying through the court like prime Kobe. With 3 more points to even the score, they tightened their defenses. Making his way to score, Xiaoxi was suddenly slapped to the ground and his glasses were smashed. A personal foul the opponents were willing to take. Little did they know, the glasses had been a hindrance to Xiaoxi all along. Floating like a bird, he scored a 3-pointer, bringing the scores to a tie. However, the opponents were quick to get the lead once more, with only a few seconds left. Guang told them to stop trying too hard. This was the best outcome they could have, but Xiaoxi wasn't the type to listen. He'd rush in to take a shot, but with so many hands blocking him, he passed to his teammate. The guy took the shot, and the ball went in. Timeline changed. There was one exception to changes that could alter the future. These were important nodes that appeared at any point in time. They could alter anything before those nodes, but as long as the critical event still happened, then the outcome wouldn't change. Once a node was changed, everything else would follow and get rewritten. With Xiao's team winning the game, Xiaoxi looked distressed. Panic set in. All the actions he took replayed in his head. As Guang's warnings echoed, it was as though reality was warping around him. He'd call out to Guang, but heard no response. Xiao's teammates were worried, wondering what was wrong with him. When Hongbin touched his shoulder, Xiaoxi exploded. "Don't touch me!" He then apologized, explaining that he needed to clear his head. Just as he was about to hop out of the picture, Guang's voice came through, stopping him. Guang had gone to look for the client's note. Although the game's ending had been rewritten, the note itself hadn't changed. The teacher then came to give Xiaoxi back his camera. With this win, Xiaoxi was hoping they'd get to keep the gym. However, the decision to tear it down was long made before the game even started. Xiao's teammates were clueless about this. They were so excited to keep playing, with hope that the school would support them. The teacher wanted to tell them, but Xiaoxi told them not to. Sooner or later, they'd find out anyway. After that, he took a picture of the happy, unaware team. Continuing his mission, Xiaoxi would take Hongbin home on a bicycle. Exhausted from the match, he struggled with all that weight. But this was the chance for him to pass on Xiao's message. After hearing him out, Hongbin looked happy. Soon after, they ran into Hongbin's sister, who was scolding him for going off to play basketball. She was Xiao's first love, and also the subject for the second part of Xiaoxi and Guang's mission. Without his glasses, Xiao was unrecognizable. It took a while for Meng to see it was him. Xiaoxi then took a picture of the siblings. After that, Hongbin pushed Meng over so she and Xiao could get a picture together. Xiaoxi was acting really shy. However, Hongbin advised him to hurry up and make a move already. Both Xiaoxi and Meng looked really shy as they scooted closer for the picture. After that, Hongbin was taken home. Then, he asked Meng to see off Xiao. Seeing how shy she was, she wondered how Xiao missed the signs. It was written all over Meng's face. He could feel his heart about to burst out of his chest. Meng would then compliment how cute he looked without glasses. Xiaoxi was so shy, he didn't know how to respond. Moments later, she asked if he knew about her family. Apparently, Hongbin was her half-brother, and after the high school entrance exams, their father wanted her to move to the city with him. Guang would guide Xiaoxi on the response to give. After that, Meng would make him promise on what they talked about. On his way back, Xiaoxi was worried that what he said would alter the timeline. Guang assured him it wouldn't happen as long as the node remained unaffected. Getting home, Xiao's mom would scold him for playing basketball and neglecting his grades. Following that, they'd head to the kitchen to make dinner. Seeing how large the food was, Xiaoxi felt it was a waste since it was just the two of them. But Xiao's mom claimed they'd never know when his dad would show up. he never told them. Then, he'd blame her when there wasn't enough food on the table. For the next part of the mission, Xiaoxi was to start an argument with her. Meng would be studying the city next semester, so he wondered when he'd be going. Xiao's mom tried ignoring the subject, focusing on the food. When he spoke about finding a job, she flipped on him, telling him to leave. Everyone she loved kept talking about moving away, leaving her alone at home. No one cared about her feelings. Her husband left to work as a tabloid reporter, and she didn't know his whereabouts or whether he was still alive. He spent years taking pictures of strangers, but never once took one of his own family. Xiaoxi really didn't want to hurt her with his words, so Guang told him to hurry up and finish the mission. Even without the argument, the timeline wouldn't change. Once again, Guang guided him on what to say. The night would end with laughter. Nevertheless, Xiaoxi felt something was off with this mission, but they had delivered all the messages, bringing an end to this job. Before leaving, he decided to stuff himself with food. Xiao's mom still brought out a bowl of noodles to top it off. She reminded him that today was his father's birthday. They needed to finish the noodles even if he wasn't here. Feeling weird, Xiaoxi asked which year it was, and she told him it was 2008. Suddenly, a cold sweat broke all around his body. His mind flashed back to the time he ran into Chao's home, crying. He heard about an earthquake and hoped his parents weren't affected. Xiaoxi missed his parents so much. He started crying bitterly, and Xiao would comfort him in her arms. As more memories flashed through his mind, Xiaoxi went pale. Guang told him to get out of the picture quickly, but then it all finally made sense. Xiaoxi realized why he'd been acting weird. No matter how much the timeline was messed up, nothing would change, because they'd all die in the end. That was the critical event. Recalling his promise with Meg, Xiaoxi rushed out. Guang warned he couldn't save them. These were all just echoes of the past from a photo. More importantly, death was an important node that couldn't be crossed. If the fates of those people were changed, the future as they knew it would disappear. While Xiaoxi stopped in his tracks, Xiao's mom came to him, noticing his hands were shaking. She feared her son had a fever. However, he said he was fine, so she figured something else was bothering him. After checking his temperature, she was relieved he wasn't sick. Then, he claimed he had forgotten to tell Hongbin something at school today. Not able to wait till the next day, he left. Although Guang told him the people he was trying to save were already gone, Xiaoxi knew the warmth of those hands he felt seconds ago was real. Guang warned him to think it over. If he told the others about the earthquake, it would cause more panic, leading to more deaths. However, Xiaoxi would only recall how his mother would sing lullabies at night for him, and he cycled as hard as he could. Meanwhile, Hongbin's mom would refuse to give him dinner because he'd gone out to play basketball. As Xiaoxi arrived, wanting them to leave, she blamed him for her son's injury. He yelled at Hongbin to take Meng and leave town. His words only brought more confusion. And when he revealed that the gym was already going to be torn down, Hongbin got furious. They started arguing, and Hongbin told them to leave. That's when Meng came to calm her brother down. Xiaoxi then let them know about the earthquake. He advised Meng to call her dad and stay with him for the night. Hearing that her daughter had been talking to her dad, Meng's mom scolded her. She threatened to disown Meng if she decided to follow Xiao. Her children all wanted to leave for different reasons. That made her feel betrayed. As the arguments continued, Guang told Xiaoxi that any more actions would only cause further commotion. Those who were destined to die could not be saved. Worse, more innocent people might end up killed. Everyone became more wary about the earthquake. When Xiaoxi was asked how he knew about it, he couldn't say. Panic rose. The moment became more tense. Xiaoxi's head was spinning, thinking of a solution. Then, he told them that he read it in a magazine. Hearing that, they all laughed, making fun of him. No one took his warning seriously. Fed up, he picked up his bicycle and left. Cycling back, all Xiaoxi could do was scream out of frustration. He desperately wanted to save them. Guang let him know they couldn't control what had already happened. All they could do was lift their heads and keep going. Even if it was Xiao's mom, Xiaoxi begged Guang to save her. And this one time, Guang agreed with him. Returning home, Xiaoxi warned Xiao's mom about the earthquake, but before leaving, she wanted to pack some things. According to Guang, the earthquake caused a mountain to collapse, burying half the town in a landslide, so it'd be dangerous to go outside. When it occurred, Xiao was found in the dining room of his house. The clock was ticking fast. Unable to wait any longer, Xiaoxi took Xiao's mom and they hid under the table. At the same time, Hongbin was staring at the stars outside when Meng brought him food. As she headed back inside, he wondered if Xiao was lying about the earthquake. Just as the clock struck 8:30, the ground began rumbling violently. Hongbin rushed to protect his mom and sister. While Xiaoxi went to get a bag his mom forgot, the building came crumbling down on him, but Xiao's mom rushed to protect him. When next he opened his eyes, she was on top, and he realized what had happened. The pain was too much to bear. Xiaoxi wept bitterly. In her last moments, she regretted not being able to teach her son anything, and she only knew a few dishes her husband loved. In the end, all she could do was watch the two people she loved most and support them in what they loved to do. She encouraged Xiao to go into the city and do the sports he loved. Whenever she closed her eyes, she could see his face from when he was a little boy. She started singing him a lullaby, just as Xiaoxi's mom had done for him then. And when the mom finally passed away, he was left alone, scared and crying in the dark. Soon enough, paramedics rushed to the scene, looking for survivors. Xiao's dad was there, struggling to see his family. Xiaoxi was pulled out safely. However, he begged for Xiao's mom to be saved, but it didn't look like that was possible anymore. That was the last farewell she would bid them. Later, when Xiaoxi came out of the picture, he looked devastated, furious. He punched Guang for lying to him. He would fall to his knees, crying his heart out, and Guang comforted him. Xiaoxi didn't get the point of all this. If he couldn't save them, then why give them those messages? As always, Guang reminded him to leave the past because it couldn't be changed, and not to ask questions about the future. At his mother's gravesite, Xiao and his dad met there, paying their respects. His dad would hand him something he found while fixing up the house. Looking into the bag, Xiao was shocked to see it was his dad's old camera. He headed over to the time photo studio, asking if they could develop the photos from the camera. Seeing it, Xiaoxi recalled it was the same camera he was clutching while being carried away on the stretcher. It was like Xiao woke up from a dream where he played basketball so well, scoring 3-pointers and dunking. He missed the days of playing with Hong Bin and the others, but none of them were alive to play with him again. The court would never be the same, but it was Hong Bin's resolve that made him want to hold on to those memories. For that, he was grateful. For Meng, when he heard she wanted to go to the city, he was very happy for her. There were better schools and opportunities in the city as well. As for him, he would have followed her and gotten into a good school. Their promise to catch up back then, he couldn't ever forget it. When Xiao's mom gave him the old camera, she revealed she was the one who actually bought it for him. She didn't hate his photos. She just hated how he only took photos of strangers. And so, Xiao's first photo with the camera would be of his mother. Getting back home, he'd sing a lullaby for his son, same as his mom used to do for him. The next day, Guang informed Xiao that they'd be taking some time off from the studio. Just then, a man named Xiao Li walked in, asking about their services. And he was with the police. On another day, a woman and her husband were attending to a long line of customers at their shop. Their son, Dodo, wanted to play with his mom, but she was too busy. She tried telling him he could play by himself, and if he was good, she'd buy him McDonald's. But with his constant plea for her attention, she started struggling to breathe. The pressure was too much, both from customers and her son. Dodo's father would then give their son his phone to watch cartoons, and he asked the little boy to go outside and find a seat. But things would soon turn bad. Unable to see her son outside, Dodo's mother panicked, and when the father went out to check, he was nowhere to be found. Over at the time photo studio, Xiaoxi and Guang still weren't talking to each other after what happened that night. At first, Xiaoxi thought their job would be a piece of cake, but after last night, he decided they needed a break. When Xiao found out they were taking a break, she was okay with it. That's when Xiao Li came in. No one was thrilled to have a policeman barge in, especially Xiao. She started pushing him out, fearing the neighbors would get the wrong idea. However, Dodo's father, Mr. Liang, then came in, asking her to help find his lost son. He'd been searching all over, but there'd been no news about Dodo. Li promised the case wouldn't be closed until his son was found. The guilt ate up Liang. He wished he'd never let the little boy go out to play on his own. Guang tried to comfort him. On the other hand, Li claimed a photo studio could do nothing to help the case. Xiaoxi offered to help the man print any old pictures for free. As for going back to the past, he called it a fairy tale. Since it had already happened, not even God could change it. It was best for the father to start taking care of himself and move on. Li then took Liang and left the studio. Getting back home, Liang found his wife watching Dodo's favorite cartoon. The shock of losing her son affected her greatly. She became completely infantile and fixated on the cartoon and its characters. Later on, Xiao found Xiaoxi going through the news about Dodo. He claimed he'd only gotten a bit curious. Regardless, she was glad to see he was sounding like his old self. In addition, she let him know his words towards Mr. Liang were pretty cold. She actually knew Liang and had seen him 3 years ago. Her famous milk tea shop was close to her school. Sadly, it didn't last long. After Dodo went missing, the shop closed down. There were times when Xiao saw him outside with his wife, sticking flyers on every board over and over again. He'd even show her the flyer, desperately asking if she had seen the boy. Flustered, she told him no and ran off. If only she had told him the truth back then. But she didn't have the guts. Truth was, she had seen Dodo pass by, holding hands with someone else. Filled with guilt, she regretted never speaking up. She was so scared of seeing Mr. Liang again, not knowing how to face him or Dodo, whose picture haunted her everywhere she went. After graduation, Xiao left that place behind, thinking she could escape the past. Yet, even after 3 years, Dodo's father hadn't given up. To make up for it, she begged Xiaoxi to help reunite the lost boy with his parents. and Xiaoxi agreed as a way to pay her back for her making him tea. But actually, it was Guang who made it. Luckily, he also kept a flyer with Mr. Liang's contact info. They called him, letting him know they would help. Meanwhile, Li was going through a major case, and he noticed there was a page missing. He'd called Chen Bin, telling him about missing case number 7. Li would be shocked to hear that Mr. Liang called, asking for footage for clues about his son. It had been 3 years already. Besides, Wang said he couldn't hand them over without authorization. Bin would struggle to collect it, even if it was just a 15-second clip. He managed to get the clip and sent it over to Liang, who forwarded it to Chao. Since the video was confidential, it wasn't allowed to get into the wrong hands. From it, Dodo was sitting in a blind spot, so neither him nor the suspect could be seen. Being questioned by the police, Liang told them the business was good as usual that day. He had given Dodo his phone to watch cartoons because he wanted to play with his mother. Being swamped with work, he didn't realize how much time had passed. When he checked the clock, it was 2:50 p.m. Guang then used his powers to check the video. He could see as far back as the past 12 hours, as well as all the security footage within a kilometer radius. Of course, blind spots were an exception. That meant he couldn't see Dodo or the suspect. Whoever it was had come prepared. So, Xiaoxi needed to dive in. Usually, when he went into photos, he inhabited the body of the photographer. But with the video this time, he didn't know what would happen. As always, he just needed to follow Guang's instructions. Once Xiaoxi dived in, he showed up as himself, inhabiting no one. For the next 12 hours, he needed to keep a low profile. He'd hide in an alleyway, keeping an eye on Dodo. Just then, Xiaoxi caught sight of Dodo getting Epsteined. He chased after, following Guang's instructions. Things would take a wrong turn when he suddenly bumped into Chao and her friend. Flustered upon seeing Chao, Xiaoxi ran away. Due to that distraction, he lost sight of Dodo. The mission failed. Chao would later apologize to Liang for not being able to find any clues. He was grateful for their attempt. She finally confessed to seeing Dodo back when she was in college. If only she had said something, then maybe they wouldn't be in this situation. She begged for his forgiveness. For the past 3 years, Liang believed if he continued searching, he'd eventually find his son. Thanks to their help, he was convinced his efforts weren't for nothing. Even if it took a decade or longer, he felt he'd definitely find his son. Liang was eager to continue the investigation. Xiaoxi wanted to keep helping him as well. Guang then asked if Liang had other photos from around the time of the incident. So, Liang went through the photos again. He was still using the same phone from 3 years ago. Going through the pictures, Xiaoxi noticed a picture of action figures. Apparently, it was taken by Dodo, and more importantly, on the day of the incident. Guang would go through the picture. Luckily, there was a chance to find the culprit. So, Xiaoxi dove in, this time inhabiting Dodo's body, and this was their only chance. He had to be extra careful. A toy ball bounced around Xiaoxi's feet, and Guang signaled that the culprit was here. Turning around, Xiaoxi saw an old woman. Oh god, she looks so disgustingly menacing. You know she's an Epstein disciple. When he picked up the ball, she asked him to return it, pretending to be his auntie. By the time he noticed the weird smell on the ball, it was too late. Xiaoxi's senses were knocked out. He unknowingly followed the woman. Guang yelled his name, but no response. The other people standing there figured the woman was actually Dodo's auntie, so they didn't bother. Xiaoxi couldn't control his body. His head was spinning, and his vision was blurry. At that time, he walked past Chao, who noticed Dodo being taken away. However, that was also the same time Xiaoxi first showed up in that timeline, surprising the girls. With this crazy turn of events, Guang was left speechless. Xiaoxi dreamt of a time when Dodo's dad and mom gifted him a set of Triple Star Warrior action figures. Seeing his parents with him made him so happy. Hours later, Xiaoxi finally woke up, not knowing where he was. He began looking for clues. He then found a pamphlet showing he was at the Red Sun Hotel. Guang searched for it and found out there were about 30 of them in the country, but none in their city. For the kidnapper to have taken him out of the city, she definitely needed some form of identification. Xiaoxi managed to find her wallet. However, she was sleeping right beside. A silent approach was needed. As he zipped it open, she turned around, facing him, but still fast asleep. He finally found the ID card, but it was tangled in some jewelry. As he struggled to bring it out, it fell to the ground, along with the necklace, making noise. Still, the lady didn't wake up. From the ID card, he found out her name was Mei Pian and gave Guang the ID number. Just then, Xiaoxi heard Pian asking how he was already awake. Frightened, he turned around, but she wasn't on the bed. Out of nowhere, she showed up in front of him, and reflexively, he delivered a deadly uppercut, knocking her teeth out. Seems his martial arts lessons from Master Siwen paid off. Nevertheless, trouble was far from over. Pian got up, threatening to cut his legs and rip out his tongue. Then, she'd throw him out on the streets to beg for scraps. Unfazed by her threats, Xiaoxi claimed he'd been sent by God to teach her a lesson. She dived towards him, but he easily dodged and slapped her down. Kneeling before the little boy, she listened as he let her know she'd be brought to justice 3 years from now. From now on, she had no other choice than to take care of Dodo. If not, when she died, she'd be dancing in the depths of hell forever. Scared for her life, she asked who he was, and Xiaoxi responded, "I am the spirit of your ancestors." Once time was up, Dodo regained consciousness. The little boy was frightened, wanting to see his mom and dad. Pian also cried, scared of the warning from her ancestors. Finally, the time came for Liang and his wife to be reunited with their son. Since Dodo hadn't seen them for 3 years, Bin mentioned there might be psychological resistance. It was best to be patient with the boy. The van drove in, and Dodo stepped out. Excited to see his son, Liang rushed to him, but Dodo would withdraw, still hurt from the psychological wounds. That's when Guang, Chao, and Xiaoxi showed up, posing as the Triple Star Warriors. With this, they were able to replay a core memory for Dodo. He ran to his dad, crying into his arms. At long last, the family was reunited. And thanks to Xiaoxi's scary act, Pian assured Li that she hadn't kidnapped any other kids. She took care of Dodo as though he were her own. Xiaoxi warned her to stay on the right path, threatening that her ancestors were still watching. Afterwards, Li approached Xiaoxi, pointing out that he was the one who could enter photos. Xiaoxi would try to play ignorant, but Li asked him to explain how he showed up in the camera footage from 3 years ago. So much for keeping a low profile. He then handed Xiaoxi an envelope with some photos, asking for help with a major case he was working on. Guang stopped him from taking it, making it clear that he was not the one who decided if they accepted a case or not. But opening the envelope, he'd see a photo of Emma, the girl who died in the beginning. Just before Xiaoxi could get a glance at the photo, Guang switched to a different one, and Li happened to notice that. The next photo was a blurred image of the suspect. According to Li, he was involved in multiple homicide cases. The motive was yet to be found, as well as the connection between the victims. The case was being treated as a probable serial homicide, but with the number of clues so far, finding the suspect wouldn't be easy. Xiaoxi was eager to help, but he wasn't the one to make the decision. After looking at the photos, Guang concluded there was nothing they could do. Back at the photo studio, Xiaoxi questioned whether Guang had checked the photos properly. It was rare for him to decline a mission. However, Guang reminded him that he wanted to take a break. Then, Chao brought a new client. It was Xu Shanshan. Xiaoxi was shocked to see her, since she was supposed to be on her post-grad studies. They'd start arguing with each other, but Chao put it to a stop. To understand why Shanshan was here, they'd take a trip down memory lane. In their college days, Shanshan had a friend known as Dong Yi. The way their relationship was, Chao felt like they were an old married couple. Later, when Yi came into class with some snacks, Chan had saved a seat for him. They were very close and would even play games together. Bruh, they playing Honor of Kings out here. In the end, their relationship didn't make much progress. Chao was shocked when Shanshan told her she'd be going to grad school. Shanshan wanted to guarantee herself a decent job, but deep down, Chao knew she had decided to stay because of Yi. Shanshan kept waiting for him, and just like that, the days flew by, and more were spent. 2 years of post-grad studies came and went. To celebrate their graduation, she took a photo with Yi, but basically only had 2 photos from that night, and the second was a selfie. After the farewell dinner, they went for karaoke. It ended pretty late, and Shanshan got a little too drunk. While everyone else left, she remained with Yi, and just as he mentioned that he had something to tell her, she blacked out. She was too shy to ask Yi what he said, which was why she came to Guang and Xiaoxi for help. Guang agreed to help, but Xiaoxi felt they should have gotten something out of it. Annoyed at what he said, Chao started beating him up. Stepping out, Shanshan was curious as to how the boys would help, but Chao didn't know. That was part of the secret they kept from her. Shanshan didn't trust Xiaoxi, fearing he'd try something weird, but Chao assured her she could rely on Guang instead. Meanwhile, Xiaoxi dove into the photo. He had a sinister expression. Now in Shanshan's body, he could do whatever he wanted. A guy came over, nervously asking Shanshan to date him, but Xiaoxi's weird behavior scared him away. When Yi showed up, he could feel Shanshan's heart race. After taking pictures with him, they went to karaoke. Xiaoxi was already getting drunk, and there was still plenty more to drink. Yi collected the can from her, not wanting her to drink too much. He was always so rational. Eventually, Yi spoke about why he wanted to study more. It was because he got used to college life. All those times they'd eat, go to class, play games, take walks around the school without a care in the world. Man, it's the same here in America. I had quite a few friends that got too sucked into university life. At some point, you just gotta move on. School is not real world everyday life once it's over. She was then given the mic to sing, and her lovely voice left everyone captivated. Memories of their time spent in college played through their minds. Back then, Sean felt it was a coincidence that both she and Yi stayed behind. However, he said there were still lots of them who were in school, and he'd kill the mood. But Yi vowed to himself to do whatever he could so he wouldn't have to say goodbye. After karaoke was over, it came time when Yi and Shanshan were alone. Rather than listen to what Yi had to say, she got distracted by a man in a hoodie. He looked just like the suspect from the photo Lee showed them. Yi's words were completely blurred out. Xiaoxi suddenly started running after the guy, even though his head was spinning. Following the suspect into a dark alley, Guang warned him to be careful. This person was more dangerous than a kidnapper. Guang noticed the guy creeping closer, so he told Xiaoxi to create a scenario where the man couldn't attack. Xiaoxi pretended to take a piss, forgetting he was in a girl's body. He then faked throwing up, except the real barf came out eventually. The suspect was disgusted and ended up using the drugged handkerchief on himself accidentally and passed out. Someone else was about to touch Xiaoxi when he immediately slammed the person to the ground. It turned out to be Yi. Meanwhile, the person in the hoodie was actually the guy who tried asking out Shanshan earlier. The next day, Shanshan was posted on the news about how she solved the mystery. Luckily, Guang already caught everything Yi had said then, and he texted it to Shanshan. When graduation was close, Yi's parents called, asking him to come back home. Of course, he couldn't stay in the city forever. He was scared to confess his feelings, fearing he'd hurt the girl who'd been by his side for so long. Finally, he realized he wanted to be with her, no matter what. Leaving her would be a pain he couldn't bear. Yi had an interview with the union building this morning, so he asked Shanshan to meet up with him. However, she hadn't shown up while he was waiting. Time was ticking fast. He wondered if she was angry at him for what he said. At the same time, Chao texted Shanshan to find out how it went, but she got a weird reply, so she called, only for a distorted, ominous voice to pick up saying,
"I will be there as promised."
Xiaoxi would try calling Shanshan again, but the number was unreachable. He feared the worst. What if the mysterious voice was that of the killer? Guang calmed everyone down. He decided to go see Li, speculating this matter might be related to that article. Xiaoxi felt guilty, but for now, they needed to prioritize Shanshan's safety. Guang asked to stay with Chao and lock up the studio. Before leaving, he told Chao it was best for Xiaoxi to remain here in order to avoid trouble. Also, he advised her to hold onto Xiaoxi's phone. Over at the police station, Li was briefing his subordinates on the homicide case. A witness had seen the victim, Wu Lihua, or Emma, as we know her, getting into a car with a suspect before the incident. After their supervisor agreed to publish the photo online, a lot of reports and claims came in. All of them pointed to one person, Liu Min, a 27-year-old male. The briefing would be interrupted by Bin, who brought Guang to see the captain. Li was under the impression that Guang didn't want to help, so it was surprising to see him interested. Guang asked to see the photo from the security footage, explaining his friend might be in danger. He told the captain about the strange call they got. Looking into the photo, Guang was able to get the plate number of the suspect. Bin quickly wrote it down and went to get it checked. However, Guang wouldn't expect to suddenly see Xiaoxi in the photo. The captain let him know the photo was posted online this morning. Basically, everyone had seen it. Guang quickly rushed out without saying a word. Then, Bin got back, and according to the data, the plate number belonged to Liu Min. By the time Chao went up to check on Xiaoxi, he was gone. The laptop on the table showed he had come across the security footage. Guang explained to Xiaoxi that he could only exist in photos after they high-fived. But if Xiaoxi were to clap his own hands, he'd lose contact with Guang and would be unable to receive his guidance. This time around, he decided to take matters into his own hands. Once he entered the picture, he remained in a blind spot where the security camera wouldn't see him. Deciding to wait for Guang, he searched for his phone. That's when he recalled Chao had taken it away. As Min showed up with Emma, he quickly hopped into the trunk before the car drove off. At the same time, Captain Li visited Liu Min's home for questioning. Furious, Min's dad confronted the police for ruining his son's life. He claimed his son couldn't have been involved in those murders, but instead that people were just looking for an excuse to talk trash about their company. Li tried to explain that they weren't all baseless. Bin interrupted, asking to talk to Min for a bit, but Min's father absolutely refused. Just as he was pushing Li away, that's when Min showed up in a wheelchair. A recent car accident had left him paralyzed, so how could he have committed those crimes? We turned back to Xiaoxi, who was certain he'd find something useful if he kept at this. While Emma was making small talk with the man driving, she noticed he took a wrong turn. He claimed they were taking an alternate route because of traffic. Trembling, she asked how long it would take before they got there, but he never planned on taking her to the station. Stopped by an abandoned area, he locked the doors, and Emma was scared for her life. Min revealed that he knew her real name was Wu Lihua, she had only given herself an English name to try to blend in with the other employees. He said he didn't want to do anything with the likes of her, but asked her to pay him. She didn't get what he was talking about, so he decided to refresh her memory. Meanwhile, Xiaoxi wondered why Emma was here. It finally clicked in his head. Guang knew Emma was one of the victims, which was why he didn't want him getting involved. Flashing back to that text he replied to, Xiaoxi realized it was all his fault. While choking Emma, Min questioned why they wouldn't leave him alone. He felt that she and the other people bashing him online all wanted his money. Emma's phone fell out of her pocket. Her mom was calling. Her parents hoped nothing bad had happened to their daughter. Helpless, Emma struggled to pick up the call as her life slowly faded. Memories of all the actions Xiaoxi did flashed through his mind. He wished Guang were here to guide him. Frustrated, he screamed out loud, catching Min's attention. Getting to the studio, Guang rushed upstairs, and seeing the computer, he knew where Xiaoxi had gone. Just as Min opened the trunk, Xiaoxi vanished. Appearing back in the room, Guang grabbed him, reprimanding him for doing something so dangerous. It was bad enough that the things he had changed were getting out of hand. Xiaoxi finally understood his actions and didn't complain. He revealed to Chao that the victim who got killed in the car was Emma. He also confessed that he was the one who made her look the other way when Dodo was abducted. That was how Chao found out he could enter photos, and Guang was the one who guided him. Dang, it all time looped back around. Guang then got a call from Bin, who told him that Min wasn't the perpetrator. Unfortunately, there was a lack of evidence. According to their investigation, Min couldn't have been present at the time of Emma's murder. Apparently, he was admitted to the hospital that day. They also found footage of her walking alone on a bridge at the same time. It seemed there was much more Guang was yet to discover. Bin asked Guang to send his friends info, though it was too early to file a missing person report. In the meantime, he and Li would do what they could. Recalling how helpless Emma was back then, Xiaoxi found himself regretting all he had done. He would call Chao, asking for Shanshan's whereabouts, but she told him she didn't know. He had been trying to contact Shanshan over and over. Sadly, the number wasn't going through. He had no idea why. Desperate to save her friend, Chao asked Guang what they could do. He then asked her where they went yesterday. She mentioned that they got milk tea after leaving the shop. Xiaoxi pressed for any photos they could have taken within the last 12 hours. Guang managed to find a picture Shanshan had posted on social media. Using his powers, he'd go through the picture, searching for clues. That night, when she got Yi's message, she was so giddy and filled with joy. Then, she heard a sound and went to check what it was, but didn't see anyone in the hallway. So, she locked the doors and went back inside. Suddenly, a shadow could be seen moving in her bathroom. Peering through the darkness, she could see clearly. As she turned on the lights, a masked man appeared in front of her. He held his dagger, ready to stab, and Shanshan screamed in terror. After Guang explained what he saw, Xiaoxi was eager to dive in quickly and save her. Guang stopped him, questioning if he was really prepared to do this. He explained to Chao that they couldn't do anything to disrupt the past. The attack on Shanshan caused his connection to break, meaning something terrible had happened. If their assumption was correct, it meant Xiaoxi had to experience her death and accept that her fate couldn't be changed. Xiaoxi would need some time to think it over. Meanwhile, Bin hadn't given up on Shanshan. He was so determined to reach her that he ended up missing his interview. Bin informed Guang that he had checked Shanshan's address, but found no one there. The next day, Xiaoxi's mind was made up. Diving into the picture, he took over Shanshan's body. Just like she argued with him in the studio, he'd have to reenact that as well. Luckily, he pulled it off excellently. The only one who truly knew how to piss him off was himself. Elsewhere, Min was scrolling through his phone when he came across the article featuring Shanshan. He began laughing maniacally, believing she was part of the people after his company. That was when he decided to target her. As Chao left the studio with Shanshan, they both spoke about how they didn't trust Xiaoxi, though he felt bad about that. Regardless, she also said he had a tenacious spirit that was hard to ignore. To her, he hadn't changed, despite acting like he didn't care with his laid-back attitude. When his parents left him, the adults contemplated taking him to an orphanage or calling the police. But he yelled at them, insisting his parents would be back soon. Refusing their sympathy, he told them to get out. Chao, however, was the only one who assured him that his parents would come back. Her dad would lend him 10 years worth of rent until he could pay it back. She recalled how much Xiaoxi had a hard time. He tried his best to be like a normal kid, to fit in. But without parents, he was always treated as an outcast. When that earthquake happened, he feared his parents might have been victims. He missed them so much. Chao comforted him as he cried. She always worried he wouldn't be able to make new friends who cared about him. That was until Guang appeared in their lives. As teammates, they became buddies. The one thing that drew Guang to Xiaoxi was his genuineness. Hearing this made Xiaoxi break out into laughter. 20 minutes before the incident, Xiaoxi was ready. He asked Guang to let him take the lead. The masked man showed up right on time. As Xiaoxi turned on the bathroom lights, He sprang on him, but he caught his hands. At the same time, Guang also caught the masked person who had snuck into their studio. Xiaoxi proposed they play a game. He gave the masked man a clue about where to find him at this time. The next morning, if the masked man spared Shanshan, then Xiaoxi wouldn't tell the police. He then clapped his hands, appearing right in front of the masked man whom Guang had caught. Xiaoxi suspected he was the one who told Min to find him. They had created an alternate timeline the moment he dived into the photo. So the plan was to lure Min with the motion sensor doorbell in the studio. He made a different recording to signal the time Min would walk in. As for how they would prove he was a serial killer, that was the most exciting and dangerous part. As Xiaoxi appeared in front of Min, he landed a heavy blow and disappeared again. However, Min found this exciting and thought of Xiaoxi as his new friend. Xiaoxi had gone through a lot of social media accounts to get the pictures plastered all over the room. He planned to provoke Min with them. That way, he'd slip up and expose himself. Each photo there represented a life Min had destroyed. He kept diving in and out of photos as he smacked them around. The one person whose life hurt him the most was Emma's. However, Min didn't give a damn about all those people. He was only interested in Xiaoxi. Once his mask was taken off, he pinned Xiaoxi to the ground, saying he wasn't the one who wanted to kill those people. He was just the agent. He then admitted to killing them. His reason? He didn't need one. As long as he was having fun, that was enough. There was no one in the world who could catch him, so he saw no reason to care. With that confession, Xiaoxi signaled the police to come in and arrest Min. Despite being apprehended, he wasn't fazed. Rather, he was sure he and Xiaoxi would meet again. After the arrest, Bin informed Guang and Xiaoxi that Shanshan was found in one of Min's warehouses. Luckily, she was fine. Xiaoxi would then ask Bin for a favor concerning Emma's murder case. Following that, Min was interrogated by Li, but he played dumb, claiming he couldn't remember what happened. He said his friend was the one behind this, so the captain asked him to explain everything from the beginning. Just then, Min's personality suddenly changed. Seeing Emma's photo, he explained what happened that day he took her to the abandoned area. He had a hunch she took his money, but while he was choking her out, he suddenly heard a scream from the trunk, but no one was there when he checked. Scared that he killed her, he decided to give her a drive to the hospital, but on the way, she suddenly woke up, frightening him because he thought she was a ghost. She lunged at him, asking to be let go, and as they struggled, the car crashed, leading to his leg injury. Meanwhile, Guang explained to Chow how Xiaoxi orchestrated the whole arrest. It was surprising to hear how reliable he was. For some reason, Xiaoxi seemed out of it. Min's alibi and Emma's case still didn't add up. If it was true, could it be that someone else was the murderer? Bin would then send him the surveillance photo from the bridge. Then, using his ability, Guang took a look. The field of vision was too narrow, so he was unable to see anything useful. All he could see was Emma with bad injuries. Feeling guilty for Emma's fate, Xiaoxi decided to dive in and find out what truly happened. After the car crash, Min was covered in blood and stuck in the car. Emma managed to grab her phone, but it was smashed. Tears filled her eyes. She missed the chance to meet up with her parents. Scarred and bleeding all over, she walked away. Memories of the time as a child flashed through. She recalled her parents buying new shoes for her, and when she started working as the CFO's assistant, they bragged about her to all their friends. Her parents were really proud of her. Missing them, she cried bitterly. She was sad she couldn't contact them. With all hope lost, she stood at the edge of the bridge, ready to end it all. Before taking that leap, Xiaoxi's voice called out to her. He then apologized, explaining that everything that happened that night was all his fault. He thought sending that message to her mom would make her happy, but that didn't make sense to her. How was he able to do that? She questioned who he was. So, Xiaoxi introduced himself, explaining his ability to her. Coming here this moment was to make up for his mistake. And now knowing everything, she asked him to help her go back to the very beginning. That way, she could start over. Back at her company, she had confronted Zhu about the fake accounts. Apparently, he was helping Min siphon some money from his father. Since it was a family matter, Zhu claimed the law couldn't do anything about it. He offered Emma his gold card as an advance, telling her to buy a house and bring her family over. Now, she wished she had never accepted the money in the first place. She wanted to go back again so she could reject his harassment, a second chance to set things right. But having lived countless lives, there was something in each one Xiaoxi regretted. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't give those people the ending they wanted. His actions only led to more suffering and pain. Even if he couldn't change Emma's past, he didn't want to let her miss out on a brighter future. Xiaoxi had learned a lot from those who tried to live out their lives. Some persevered for love, some had to lose their way before finding their real selves. Others taught him what it meant to be a real parent, and some found what they were looking for. Everyone had a reason to keep living. Despite times in the darkness, they would all meet people who would shine their light upon them. Extending his hand to Emma, Xiaoxi wanted to show her there was still light at the end of the tunnel. Seeing Emma take his hand, Guang was speechless. He had the impression that death couldn't be changed. Suddenly, Emma's eyes glowed red. A sinister voice came out, one that was familiar. Min had just been a puppet all along, and the real culprit was someone else. This mysterious individual suddenly possessed Chao, attacking Guang. At the same time, he made Emma leap off, and made Min strangle himself. When Xiaoxi returned, Guang was covered in blood. Terrified at the sight, he saw that Chao had been possessed. The mysterious killer proposed they start their game all over. Oh wow, the first season of this show was amazing. I can see why a lot of people like it. This is the first donghua I've liked so far. The beginning is episodic storytelling that leads to an overarching narrative beautifully, and the music placement is perfect. Highly recommend you check out the source material for yourself if you have the chance. You won't be bored. Subscribe, let me know what you think, and if you want me to continue Season 2 and potentially Season 3 coming out in the fall. For now though, watch this next video. It's me, Comfy T, and I'll see you all in the next one.